Who's ready for some more XC spammers? Yes, we're still in the GHOUL era, and today we're taking a look at Umbral Horrors, the archetype used by another Barian Emperor. The first one I looked at were Star Seraphs, used by Durbe, and today's one were used by Vector, this Vector, so yeah, he was one of the better villains in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, one of the best ones we've gotten over the years. And yeah, let's see if his archetype is as evil and brutal as his character is. Well, we're in for quite a ride. Alright, let's start off with their first monster, that being Umbral Horror Will-O-the-Wisp. It's a level 1 with 0 attack and defense, and when this card is normal or special summon, you can target one Umbral Horror monster with you control or in your graveyard, except this card. This card's level becomes the current level of that monster. When this attack position card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard and was in face-up attack position and the start of the damage step, destroy the monster that destroyed this card. Okay, the targeting is impressive, how it lets you target the monsters in the graveyard. So yeah, that kinda helps out a bit, since these things kind of struggle with the consistency a bit, as we'll see later on. But it is funny to me how it reminds you twice that it needs to be in attack position in order to activate its Man-Eater bug effect. But yeah, this is actually a quite decent card. This is a rank 4 spam archetype again, so yeah. You'll mostly like to target a level 4 monster that you already have on the field or in the graveyard. So yeah, I would say run 2 or 3 of these definitely. The next one is Umbral Horror Ghost, a level 2 with 200 attack and defense, and during your main phase you can special summon this card and one level 4 or lower fiend type monster from your hand. You cannot normal summon or set during the turn you activate this effect. What? You can only use this effect of Umbral Horror Ghost once per turn. Please, someone explain to me what went wrong here. This effect would be spectacular if it wasn't for the dumb restriction. Just because of this dumb restriction, this card has quite limited uses. Its first use is making a Cursed Javelin, or I don't know, a Gachi. And the second use is probably making a Link 2 or potentially Link 3 monster if you happen to have the right setup. And the third one is one of the most specific Trishula plays I have ever seen. Yes, this thing can be used for a Trishula play, but we need a monster we'll take a look at now, which is Umbral Horror GHOUL, their biggest main deck beater with 1800 attack. And once per turn you can make this card's attack 0, and if you do, special summon one Umbral Horror monster with 0 attack from your hand. Yeah, from your hand, because yeah, these things are supposedly have so much infinite consistency that they'll have enough hand capability as well. But they don't. They should have made this from, or at least the graveyard or the deck, because yeah, these things can struggle with consistency. But anyway, what about that Trishula play? Well, it would go along the lines with something like this. Special summon Unknown Synchron via its own effect, then use Umbral Horror Ghost's effect to summon itself to the field along with Umbral Horror GHOUL, then use GHOUL's effect to zero out its attack and summon Will-O-the-Wisp, and make it a level 2 with using Umbral Horror Ghost, and then proceed to synchro summon Trishula. Yeah, and as you're summoning the Unknown Synchron with its own effect, your opponent must control a monster. So yeah, your potential have to go second in order to do that. But yeah, Umbral Horror Ghost is a really bad card if we're judging the its use inside its own archetype, but outside it's mediocre at best. But yeah, back to this card, Umbral Horror GHOUL. You run this guy at 3 at all times because it's the best thing you can ever pull out of your decks. So yeah, and their final main deck monster is Umbral Horror UNFORMA. It also has 0 attack and defense, and when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard while attacking a monster, you can special summon 2 Umbral Horror monsters from your deck. You can only use this effect of Umbral Horror on form once per turn. Oh look, it's what Ghost should have been, but way slower and much more suicidal. If this is their best consistency, I am not sure if I'm ever going to give it a good grade for consistency of these things. But yeah, run this at 3 because it's one of the more useful searchers out there. And now it's time for their extra deck lineup. I mean their 2 Xyz monsters. Number 104 Masquerade, sorry, wrong picture. There we go. Is a rank 4 which requires 3 level 4 monsters, and it's light for some reason, even though all their other monsters are dark. And it has 2700 attack, and during either player's battle phase, when an opponent's monster effect is activated, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Once per turn, you can send the top card of your opponent's deck to the graveyard. The milling effect is kind of random here, but this non-once per turn protection is okay at best, even though it's only limited to the battle phase. It is interesting how it does not destroy. So yeah, if your opponent activates a pendulum monster's effect, it's still there. So yeah, it's mediocre as well. But yeah, run at least 2 of these because it can get you somewhere, and it's a target for a rank up magic because they have a chaos monster, which is not chaos number 104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. As I said, requires either a rank up magic or 4 level 5 monsters. When this card is special summoned, you can target 1 spell or trap on the field, destroy that target. If this card has number 104 Masquerade as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated on your opponent's side of the field, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, negate the activation. Then you can send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, and if you do, halve your opponent's life points. Well, it's a definition of a boss monster for sure. They give the negation effect once per turn, but it still does not destroy the goddamn card. What the hell is this supposed to mean? But anyway, the life point halving effect is also kind of random, but yeah, if you summon this without Masquerade, all it does is pop a card in the back row and it targets, so yeah, it kind of sucks in my opinion. So yeah, I would advise running at least one or two of these. And their final card is the normal trap card, Corrupted Keys. Target 1 face-up Xyz monster you control, special summon 3 Umbral Horror Mirage tokens, Fiend type Dark level 1 attack questionable and defense 0. When summoned, each token's attack becomes equal to that monster's current attack. They cannot attack your opponent directly or be tributed, except for a tribute summon. When that face-up Xyz monster leaves the field, destroy these tokens. Back in its inception, all it did was give you some huge beaters that can't attack directly, and they die too if the monster dies, and that's about it. They were mediocre at best back in the day, but today they can even produce a link monster, which is awesome since you can link summon with tokens. So yeah, this card is actually quite nice in today's standards, and I would, but still the activation condition is kind of a bummer because it's only limited to their Xyz monster, which can be sometimes really hard to summon it. So yeah, run 2 of them still because they can produce some nasty boards if you are playing a link build with these. And just like that, we're done with Umbral Horrors, so let's give some grades. Consistency, they have UNFORMA, which is so suicidal it hurts. Ghost is so bad I don't want to mention it again, and they mostly rely on mediocre outside support to bring anything consistently to the field. So that's a complete 1 out of 3 where I'm concerned. Power, entirely dependent on their Xyz monsters, and they can sometimes be hard to summon. So I'm gonna give a 1 out of 3 because yeah. Now comeback ability, they entirely depend on soul charge for that, so Yee, 1 out of 3. Protection, well, Xyz monsters have some protection, but barely irrelevant, so 1 out of 3. However, I'm gonna give a versatility of 3 out of 3 because, yeah, they're a rank 4 spam archetype and they have access to Max Master Key Beetle, so yeah, that's nothing to scoff at. So yeah, versatility is their best feature about them. Yeah, this is probably, I think, the next worst archetype I reviewed next to Blue Eyes, I think, so yeah. I believe they could do and work with some improvements. So yeah, they really need more field swarming capabilities and more consistency in general, and more spell or trap support. One trap card is not going to work around anything. Even not. I know it can produce a Link monster, but still, it's not enough. But anyway, that was it for today's archetype analysis, and next time we're going to tackle the final Zexal archetype in this season, and after that the final Arc 5 archetype in this season, and final archetype in this season in general. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and updates. Comment, like, and subscribe, and as usual, I'll upload the next part whenever I can. See you all, have a good day, and peace!